Her body grips the moonlight. I need to know what it takes to move in her. She fits me like a glove, so bright. Let it blow, gotta breathe. Liquid love trying to hypnotize me. Feel the rush, wanna scream. Hit it hard, no you'll never let it be. She gets herself up so high. She likes to set the speed. I map the way with my eye. I can take care of all your needs. Let it blow, gotta breathe. Liquid love trying to hypnotize me. Feel the rush, wanna scream. Hit it hard, no you'll never let it be. Let it blow, gotta breathe. Liquid love trying to hypnotize me. Feel the rush, wanna scream. Hit it hard, no you'll never let it be. When you burn what you break, as the lights overtake all your mind, and you run. Let it blow, gotta breathe. Liquid love trying to hypnotize me. Feel the rush, wanna scream. Hit it hard, no you'll never let it be. Let it blow, gotta breathe. Liquid love trying to hypnotize me. Feel the rush, wanna scream. Hit it hard, no you'll never let it be.
Three, two, looking like the jacked up TV from your mom's basement.
Well, if you haven't picked up your tickets yet for the Virtual Outdoor Expo, you're going to want to, because we are about to give away a door prize for early birds. We're going to draw a ticket on February 15th at the Maryland Arsenal grand opening. You could win a 7-night getaway. The early bird door prize winner will be selected on 2/15, so get your tickets today. You're automatically entered to win this and tons of other awesome prizes when you purchase your ticket for the Medina Media Virtual Outdoor Expo. Plus, the ticket sales go toward raising money for Battle 22 and the Dark Horse Project. And live entertainment, hello! The event is right around the corner, kicking off March 4th, streaming live each day until the 7th and active for you to revisit for another 30 days, with musical performances by Shane Gamble, the Amish Outlaws, and country star Tyler Farr. So get your tickets today and be entered to win this door prize and tons more. So make sure that you check out our Facebook event page and stay tuned for more details.
This is the podcast pit, brought to you by Medina Media.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is that special time of the week. It is time to talk some wrestling. This is the Podcast Pit. I am your host, former professional wrestler, promoter of Voltage Wrestling, jack of all trades, master of what? I do not know. Mike Ratick. I'm alongside my broadcast partner, Rennes, the Menace, Carbaugh. How you doing, Rennes?
I'm pretty good. I've got a lot of energy this morning, so we'll see.
You got a lot. I'm the exact opposite of that this morning.
Well, I got you, Mike. I got you.
It's low energy today.
Oh, I'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, low energy today, but we're here. We're making the best of it. Ladies and gentlemen, before we go any further, this is sponsored by the good folks at One Up IT Consulting. If you are a small business, you do not want to do the job to bad IT, contact the folks that will give you technical support, system security, and most importantly, peace of mind. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. You were not aware that 22% of businesses out there do not have a good IT plan in place.
Yeah, I would have guessed, less than 20, but believe it or not, it's above 20. Who knew?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's crazy that so many businesses are leaving themselves unprotected, but the good folks at One Up IT Consulting can help with that. Contact them here on the internet at www.oneupitconsulting.com or via phone at 301-799-3553. One Up IT Consulting, managed services with care.
All right.
We've got a new one this week, too.
We do. We have a new sponsor. Why don't you tell us about him, Mike?
Our new sponsor this week, we've got the good folks at Liquor Locker on the Dual Highway, sponsoring the podcast pit. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are a fan of local beer, this is the place to go.
Yeah,
I will say this right now. This is the place to go.
Yeah, I love the Liquor Locker. Kind of one of the things people may not know about the Liquor Locker. They also have a cigar humidor.
I know. You were a big fan of the cigar humidor.
I am. I love. I don't get to smoke a cigar every once in a while. Sorry, Dad. Sorry, Mom. But when I do, it's usually a big celebration after a show. Something big. It's a very, very special occasion that I get to have a cigar. And whenever I need a cigar, I go to the good folks at Liquor Locker. They also,
as do I for local brews.
Yeah, and they also have, I think they have probably some of the best prices in town.
They really do.
They're extremely fair.
Join their loyalty program. I will say that.
I am also a part of the loyalty program.
Save yourself some money, guys. Save yourself some money. But ladies and gentlemen, Liquor Locker, you can find them on the web. What is it? LiquorLockerHagerstown.com.
Yep, over on the Dual Highway, on the same side as Sonic and Chuckers.
All right. Last but not least, the good folks at DisplayJ.com. Ladies and gentlemen, especially for you pro wrestlers out there, the business is coming back in 2021, and when it does, you do not want to have a bland gimmick table. Go ahead, get yourself a table throw, get yourself a backdrop, get yourself one of these great signs that we have here behind us, Podcast Pit, right there, DisplayJ.com. Great work, great work.
Reasonable prices.
Yes, when it comes to displays, you got a guy in DisplayJ.com. Oh, I don't get a round of applause for that this week. There we go. Thank you.
There it is.
Thank you.
There
I appreciate you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start off this week. We do have some sad news this week. We mourn the passing this week of Butch Reed, known to WWF fans as the Natural. This man was a regular in WWF, WCW, Mid-South Wrestling. He passed away at 66 years old this week. Reed, he was a member of the National Football League's Kansas City Chiefs football team, who happens to be in the Super Bowl this weekend. Broke into the business in 1978 when his football career came to an end. He quickly became known as Hacksaw Butch Reed and found great success in Mid-South Wrestling. He was heralded as wrestling's best-kept secret for a long time, and even engaged in some feuds with Ric Flair, including a legendary one-hour draw against the NWA champion, and had a legendary feud with the WWF Hall of Famer, or WWE Hall of Famer, I should say, the Junkyard Dog.
Wow.
Butch Reed, 66.
Wow. Yeah, it was, it seems like, 2021 is not pulling any punches. I don't know about you, though. I still feel better about I already feel better about 2021
I really do.
Than 2020.
Yeah.
It's something about it. I don't know if it's new year, new me type bullshit, but I just, it's like there's hope.
There is. You want to know what? There's been some hope this week. We're going to get to the Royal Rumble and what our thoughts are on the Royal Rumble this week. But, man, wrestling television this week has been fan-freaking-tastic.
Do we want to jump right in with the AEW?
Yeah,
stuff?
We'll jump in with the AEW first.
While we're talking about AEW, we'll go ahead and get the ratings out of the way, which is surprising to me. NXT
really
lost to AEW again. But the thing that kind of shocked me was WWE announced that Edge was going to be...
There was no increase.
Not a single one.
There was like not an increase at all.
No.
You put Edge on that show,
and there wasn't an increase.
and Edge is a legitimate draw right
that's
now.
huge. The dude won the Royal. Spoiler alert: he won the Royal Rumble. But I could have sworn that they were going to be closer, if not over, AEW this week,
Yeah, I was expecting it.
and they weren't.
I was expecting it to at least be
Yeah.
close. I still thought AEW was going to pull it out.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a closer than it was. AEW 844,000 viewers, NXT 610,000 viewers. That's
Still respectable for a Wednesday night for both
yeah,
shows.
if I look back at last week, maybe that's not last week, but it was a boost. I think AEW actually went up a little bit this week, but the big news coming out of AEW this week, Dynamite was the Beach Bash. Great show.
Great show.
Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker tore the house down.
Absolutely.
Incredible match. At the end, Jon Moxley was attacked by a hooded figure.
That hooded figure
Was Kenta.
Kenta.
Also known to WWE followers as Hideo Itami, who is now in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Dave Meltzer came out that night or the next morning saying that the forbidden door has been opened. There is a working contract between New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW.
And I'm going to give you a little history on this here right now because
This is
I'm going to give you. We're going to get to the AEW history and how this implicates them, but just a
I
history,
marked out hardcore. For
just
this.
the history of the wrestling business when doing business with New Japan Pro Wrestling. WWF in the 80s had a working relationship for a short period of time with New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, and that's actually also WCW did as well.
Yeah, and I was going to get to that. WCW in the 90s had
which
a
we'll
working
get to more later.
They had a working relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling. This was one of those things that Eric Bischoff kind of he gets credited for a lot. I don't think he had all to do with it that he says he does, but still he gets credited for that relationship. And making that work was a key to getting WCW over that hump in 1995, 1996, having that New Japan influence on the undercard with the marquee value of the NWO.
Right.
WWE didn't stand a chance at that point.
There's actually going to be, we'll talk about it more, but there's going to be a Dark Side of the Ring episode this coming season. The WCW New Japan Pro Wrestling Collision in Korea from 1995 is going to be an episode.
Yes, there's a very good YouTube clip. I'll have to drop it
Mm-hmm.
onto the podcast pit page after this. Somebody did a very good historical news piece on that wrestling event in North Korea. 180,000 in attendance.
Wow.
The most attended wrestling show in history, even though it was a mandatory attendance. You had to be yeah, it was mandatory to be. And,
But this is a huge deal because what happened was you had Cody, the Young Bucks, and one of New Japan's biggest draws, Kenny Omega, leave and start their own company. And Japanese wrestling, it's all about loyalty and honor.
absolutely.
And they took that as an offense.
Yeah.
Which I can see that.
No, there for a while. I mean, there was issues where people were getting their visas screwed with
Right.
when going over to Japan, which it started getting really, really underhanded, really, really dirty. I'm glad that's behind us, and
Yeah.
there's a working relationship not just with New Japan and Impact Wrestling, but now New Japan and AEW,
Right.
which sets up a bunch of really
Exactly.
good possibilities.
And the news coming out of this was New Japan Pro Wrestling wanted Jon Moxley because he's the IWGP U.S. champion and has been for a very long time. They wanted him back, and Mox wanted to work for New Japan and AEW. It says a lot. Myself, Mike, and Kyle were talking about this week. It says a lot about Jon Moxley as a performer, as a commodity,
Absolutely.
that he was able to get this deal done.
I mean, here's the deal. Jon Moxley is one of the biggest stars in wrestling in the United States. I mean, around the world, really. Not just from his time in AEW, his time in WWE. He had a pretty good track record on the independents even before that.
Right.
Going to the comments here. We've got Carl Wortman here, and thank you for joining, Carl. Carl from Crazy Carl's Toys is joining us this week. Here in the comments, love AEW, and now that they're doing things as a kid that I would only be able to dream about, bringing organizations together and working together.
Yeah,
And
I've tweeted it several times this week. I've talked about it on this show. I'm going to say it now, and I hope I'm right. I think Kenny Omega at some point is going to become the Impact Grand Champion. He's going to defeat Rich Swann. When and where, I don't know. And then he'll become a dual champion on dual brands. And then he will show up at Dominion, the New Japan Pro Wrestling, kind of their secondary big show. Their biggest one being their WrestleMania is basically Wrestle Kingdom. If they do not do Kota Ibushi, who is the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Champion, versus Kenny Omega as the AEW and Impact Champion, that is a huge money draw. In the history behind these guys, they came up as young lions together. They teamed together as the Golden Lovers. They broke off and did their own thing. They came back later when Kenny left was betrayed by the Bullet Club and Kota Ibushi. The Golden Lovers reunited, and Kenny Omega apparently was not only overjoyed but saddened by when Kota Ibushi signed this lifetime contract that he has with New Japan, because he thought he was never going to wrestle with his best friend ever again. And now that the Forbidden Door is open, this match can happen. I mean, the history that goes along with this match, the build up to this match. Now there's no indication that this match is going to happen. There's absolutely zero. But the possibilities run rampant. The other big thing I noticed, they've already NXT is already advertising, not NXT, AEW next week, Kenny Omega and Kenta versus Jon Moxley and Lance Archer. And the most interesting part of this for me are that they allowed the picture, the graphic that AEW put out. I saw the comment. The AEW put out, Moxley was holding the IWGP United States champion.
Yes.
Which means that New Japan is allowing Moxley is going to be able to carry that championship on American television on a foreign product. That is huge.
Now, we have two questions in the chat here. We've got Mike Fox. Do you think he goes after the IWGP Heavyweight Championship? And then we have Carl Wortman here with, he's like, your opinion on if the Young Bucks, Kenny, and Don are trying to rebuild the territory system.
100%. I've said this from the second AEW started to work. So now AEW has working relationships with AAA Wrestling in Mexico, which is the largest Mexican wrestling federation, for lack of a better term. Ring of Honor for a little bit.
Yeah.
Impact, New Japan Pro Wrestling, AEW, and New Japan has working relationships with MLW and several other. I mean, but short answer, yes, I 100% think we're going to see and I've said this for about 2 years now, a global territory type situation.
Yeah, and
there's gonna be talent swap. You're gonna see other championships showing up on other shows.
This is the breath of fresh air too, because
100%.
Like I've said on the show before, a couple of years ago, this was something that wouldn't have even been thought of.
No.
Well,
because all it was New Japan, WWE, and WWE as far as eyes in the United States, it was WWE. The other thing is, New Japan Pro Wrestling announced it this week that they will be doing a 1-hour weekly show on Roku.
Yes, the Rogue. Yes, we actually
States.
have some of the information on that deal here. So I'm going to pull it up here. So
it's a 1 hour. It's going to be a 1 hour. No, Carl, you're 100% correct. A global. Yeah, Tony Lowe, thank you. Omega does hold the AAA title. I mean, he's a triple champ. Now, if Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi do wrestle, Kota Ibushi will win. I think that's only logical at this point. Until Kenny loses those other championships, I think we could see that happen. And I think he actually will lose that championship to, I'm hoping, to Hangman Adam Page down the line. I think Page is in a great position.
Hangman Adam Page is like, I think that's going to be AEW's guy long term.
Yep.
What I think will happen, I think MJF will kind of get a run.
But I think I don't know. But
Hangman,
I don't think MJF needs the title.
Not right now, he doesn't.
Right now, he doesn't need that title. He is the best heel.
No, a year and a half from now, it's going to be, okay, well, what are we waiting on? So you're going to have a guy like Hangman Adam Page in the place to make that work.
Especially because by putting, your AEW title, the other thing my mind went right to when the New Japan thing started is now we actually see different factions of the Bullet Club across 3 different promotions. You have the Bullet Club, the actual real Bullet Club that has been in New Japan for over a decade now. And then you have the Kenny Omega Young Bucks.
You got the Elite.
Club.
Yeah,
the Elite.
Basically the Elite.
Right. I think that is just it's incredible. The possibilities with this are now endless. They really are.
Yeah, it opens up a world of different scenarios.
Right.
And
now, I think the biggest thing that we'll have to watch out for is, what do you think about the New Japan and the Impact possible relationship?
Well, I mean, I think that would be still intact with Don Callis still doing business. Don Callis doing business with the AEW. Mm-hmm. Also, he's like, a lot of the people don't know, Don Callis is the liaison for a lot of the American wrestlers, if I'm not mistaken, for Japan. So, I think honestly, I think Don Callis is a big catalyst for making all of this happen and mending old fences and getting everybody back under the same page and working together once again. Because at the end of the day, when all these secondary promotions, I mean, right now AEW is still the secondary promotion. Let's not kid ourselves, especially.
Of course.
Let's not kid ourselves. As much as I don't like the WWE, they're still the promotion. However, having all these guys working together in sync under one banner, I think makes sense.
Yeah, the only thing. So the reason I asked that was because a couple years ago, New Japan did a talent swap with Impact. If you'll remember, Kazuchika Okada came over.
Yes,
and Impact ruined him.
Well, I know.
And there was some bad blood there. I mean, Kazuchika Okada, the Rainmaker, is one of their biggest stars.
Now, was Creative different then?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's
see,
what
I didn't follow Impact a whole bunch there. Ed Stilk in the chat actually. He brought up MJF. MJF is like Piper, probably doesn't need the strap if pushed correctly.
Agreed.
I can agree with that.
Yeah,
I can agree with that. I mean, eventually, it's got to happen at some point. I will say that.
Yes.
It's got to happen at some point. It's just I can't see that character just motivated by just because right now he's just. He's kind of messing everybody's situations up.
Yeah,
as we saw in Dynamite this week, the seeds are still being planted for that nasty heel turn.
Yeah,
and it's coming.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait. But yeah, so I'm ecstatic about this possibility.
Same here.
I mean, this is what needed to happen.
It really is.
It was going to happen eventually, I think. I didn't expect it this soon.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
I think you start planting the seeds for we've got Double or Nothing or All Out coming up here. After Revolution, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it's. I got to think of the months and stuff. We're in 2021 now. Revolution will come up, and then I think it will be. I think All Out or Double or one of those. I can't. I think.
Yeah,
All Out is first.
I think Double or Nothing's first actually, and then they go All Out. Somebody, please correct me if I'm wrong here. Yeah,
thank you.
We've got Kyle Reyes.
Checker.
Kyle Reyes, our wrestling historian and researcher over here.
Double or Nothing in May, Fighter Fest in July, Fight for the Fallen in July, All Out in September.
All Out.
There we go. All right.
So Double or Nothing is
first.
Be first. Yeah.
But no, I think. I mean, let's be realistic, ladies and gentlemen. At some point in 2021, crowds are coming back. I think it's going to be late spring, early summer. Yeah, knock on wood. I really do. I can't see people keeping events down for much longer. I mean, crowds are
yeah.
going to have to come back in some capacity late spring, early summer. People are going to want to build these long-term stories, so when crowds do come back, they have something to come back to.
Right.
And I think you see MJF and Jericho at one of these upcoming pay-per-views
I would,
here.
or even on the Jericho cruise, because they always the Rock and Wrestling Rager.
Yeah.
And that usually the Rock and Wrestling Rager starts setting up the seeds for All Out. I think is typically what happens.
Yeah. By the way, I would love to be on that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That cruise. Yeah.
That's gonna happen. That's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I know.
We
I
might
know. I'm
have to
doing
go
Mania
as
next year.
The
but
podcast pit might have to make an appearance.
Yeah.
At some of these big events.
Podcast Pit Summer Vacation.
Yes. Summer tour. Yeah. So all right. So, want to talk about the Rumble?
Yeah, we got to talk about the Rumble.
Gotta talk about the Rumble.
We got to talk. It was good. It was a good pay-per-view.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
that's what I was saying. I think it's one of the better COVID pay-per-views.
I was about to say, I didn't see you on YouTube throwing chairs or anything, so
No.
everything turned out okay.
Yeah.
I know you were ready.
So let's talk about the two winners. The women's was Bianca Belair. 100% should have been 100%
Absolutely,
who I thought it was going to be.
Absolutely.
The final two being Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. That's huge.
That's what it should have been.
Yeah, those two.
That's
women,
what it should have been.
Those are two of the women that are going to carry the company into the next couple of years. They're just both of them are incredible talents.
Not to mention, I'm gonna say this. That was one of the best babyface promos in a long damn time from Bianca Belair after winning that Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
After winning that Royal, like you can't buy.
And I think it's
sympathy
because
like that.
it was real.
Yeah,
it was.
It was authentic.
Yes, it was
completely authentic.
And with the men's Royal Rumble, Edge won. Do I think it was the right choice? No. Do I think it was a good choice? Yes.
Yes. Honestly, the big story out of the end of that Royal Rumble, the Edge and Christian reunion.
Yeah.
I did not expect.
I popped when Christian
when Christian came out, I popped like a
because
yeah.
And they hug in the ring. Like, you've got to realize that both of those men retired because of basically life-threatening injuries.
Yeah, not just retired. They were written off.
Yeah.
Like, they were written off. They were never coming back. It was never happening. 100%. That's last thing you expected to see happen was having Edge and Christian in a ring. Just in a ring, period. Not in a ring together. In a ring, period.
Right.
And we got it.
I think the outright favorite to win the men's Royal Rumble, according to Vegas, was Daniel Bryan. I do still think he should have been the one to win it.
Yeah. I still think he competes for a title at Mania.
I do too. I can foresee him maybe getting inserted into a triple threat match with Edge to help possibly protect Edge a little bit. He's still banged up. He's still, both of them are still banged up. I mean, they're still. By the way, the Daniel Bryan Cesaro match last night on SmackDown, chef's kiss. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you put those two guys in the ring together, it's gonna be.
If you guys can find it on the internet, and I don't think you can anymore, but there is a match between Daniel Bryan and Cesaro when he was still competing as Claudio Castagnoli.
Mm-hmm.
It was ROH show Northern Navigation, I want to say it was.
Right.
This is like 08, 09. Now, the big significance about this match, they basically did a match with stuff that you could learn just by completing wrestling school.
Mm-hmm.
Just like your basic maneuvers. They go in and do this match, and it's still one of the greatest matches. Especially for an independent match. It's still one of the greatest indie matches I've ever seen. If you can find it out there, go look it up. Absolute 100% classic. I am not surprised by them having any kind of classic match on SmackDown.
Yeah,
it's just, that's what they do. They just put out good
Right.
shit.
And possibly the best news coming out of Royal Rumble was the fact that the Goldberg match not only was short, but he lost.
Yeah.
And Bully, you put up I believe the podcast pit put up a article or retweeted or something, an article about Bully Ray, saying that Goldberg, if Goldberg is going to be used, it has to make sense.
Yeah.
And this didn't make sense.
Well, no, him challenging and losing.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But
that makes sense. But why? But why now? Like why? I
mean, having
bad timing.
Having a surprise challenger. I mean, eventually you can't put him in a title match every time. I mean, that cannot happen because then he's got to go over on some people for the title shot to mean something. But every once in a while, maybe once or twice a year, putting him in a title match, which he's only wrestling 2 matches, so maybe once a year putting him in a title match, and the other time he's facing somebody of significance,
right?
And getting a win over them to eventually lose to the champion to boost the champion stock.
Yep.
You can't.
Right.
Yeah, you can't be upset about that.
And the other kind of interesting thing I thought coming out of Royal Rumble was the Bad Bunny performance.
Yeah.
So
I know we're going to debate on this.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I'm laughing at the chat. So the Bad Bunny performance. I have almost never been a fan of musical performances at big events. I understand why they're there.
I've seen a lot of good ones at Mania.
Sure.
I've seen a lot of good ones at Mania.
But there was an issue this week. A lot of people were like, why do they have this guy on there? This shouldn't be, no one wants to watch this, blah, 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 blah. Couple things. Bad Bunny was not on there for the fans.
No, he was on there
He was on there to get more views and for a very specific demographic and a very specific group of people that they want to bring into the wrestling world. But now I saw a lot of people this week doing what I like, what is called gatekeeping.
Yeah.
This is people who love wrestling, but they don't want anyone else to love wrestling. They like to think that you have to have a certain a certain standard or a certain, I don't know, to be able to love wrestling. This is huge. Kyle might be able to affirm this for me. This is huge in the nerd in the pop culture nerd community, in gaming, in comic books, in board gaming, video gaming. Gatekeeping is a major issue. I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. I do. I love Dungeons and Dragons. I love tabletop RPGs, board games. You see a lot of these older guys, not wanting people. They have their own set of standards for people to get into the hobby. And I hate to break it to anyone who thinks that they're right about gatekeeping. It never works. It absolutely never, ever works. Because if you don't allow a new generation or a new audience to come in to love the sport of wrestling or anything, it's gonna die. It's you and I sit on this show every week and we ask for change.
Yeah.
And this Bad Bunny, while it was not the change that I wanted, it is change. And the fans, I say, don't like him, but he's not there for the fans. He's not there. He was fun fact, he was the top merch seller on WWE's website this week.
Bad Bunny.
Yep, 100%.
Really?
Yep. So that says something. That has to say something. Now,
this is what I'm going to say in retort to that, because I agree with everything you just said.
Right.
The way you said it, I agree with it.
But
now, I am going to say this. I'm going to say this. WWE has this habit when they get a bunch of hate, like when it's like overwhelming, they have this habit where they have to sit there and like fire back at their fans.
Yeah.
And so they release a video this week, and I want to say it might have been Ryan Satin or somebody was basically going over, who is Bad Bunny? And they're like, it's really bad that you don't know who this is, and like, how dare you not know who this is? And I'm sitting there watching this video, and I'm just like, do you realize what an ass you look like right now? Just literally chastising your fans. There's some fans out there, legitimately, most of us, I didn't know who he was.
I didn't.
I didn't know who he was. I know a lot of people that are pretty up and up on pop culture and, wrestling as a whole that did not know who this guy was. So, having said that, you could have spent the next couple of weeks maybe educating somebody on
Right.
who this guy was, but instead of that, you decided to go and tell your fans, hey, how dare you not know who this is?
Well,
and that's a problem.
Right. Well, and so I know they put him on there to try and boost views.
Yes.
It didn't work for Raw. The Raw for the last month or so has been stuck at about 1.8, 1.89 million. And that did not change this week. But rumor has come out that Bad Bunny is training at the Performance Center. I think there's your celebrity.
Probably.
Your celebrity.
Yeah,
for
you're probably going to
WrestleMania.
get Bad Bunny and Booker T versus Miz and Morrison at Mania, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Because you just hope that's going to bring views to the product. Now, the other thing that it works really well in conjunction with the Peacock taking over, because the Peacock will take over the WWE Network, I believe March 13th, March 14th, something around that time.
So you're doing a transition like that right before Mania.
I think that's smart.
You think?
I do, because you're gonna, no matter what, you're gonna get those 1.1 million viewers that you had on the network. You're going to. You're gonna, and you would get a boost from people who just want to watch WrestleMania because it's WrestleMania. But I think you're gonna see. I think the thought is that they're gonna get a boost for being on the Peacock. I think that's gonna be. I think that's gonna, with that, the Bad Bunny thing. I think the Peacock makes it more accessible for people who are maybe not in the wrestling fandom but do follow Bad Bunny. I see why they did it, why everything's gonna possibly how everything could work together. Like I said, it's not for me, but
We'll see.
Bad Bunny isn't there for me.
Yeah, he's
He's
there
not.
for somebody else, and that's
Correct.
okay. That's
Yep.
okay. Like I'll say this. Like I just in the future, I would like to see WWE not try to chastise their fans for not understanding something.
Agreed.
Yeah, it just seems like a classic. It's their go-to every time something like this goes down.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's like it makes me not want to watch.
Sure.
I already don't watch, but it just like I watched the Royal Rumble, and then afterwards I saw this, and it makes me just not want to watch their television.
Right.
Just, like I just don't. I don't care. Like I don't want to be. I don't want to be in a position where not only I'm upset with something that's going on television, but then I have that person on television telling me, "How dare you be upset about it?"
Right. Yeah.
That's just hey, that's me. It's not for everybody. So, what are you gonna do?
Right, but it's not, like I said, it's not there for us. It's there to help bring new eyes to the product. Now the backfire with that is,
Yeah,
after Bad Bunny is no longer on television, do those people stay?
probably not.
Probably not.
No.
But they need that ratings boost.
I mean, why would you stay with some of the storylines on Raw?
Well,
Like I just I'm legitimately asking that question. If somebody can give me a reason to watch WWE, please make a mention in the chat.
WWE Raw.
Yeah, if
specifically.
somebody can give me a reason to watch Monday Night Raw, give me a reason in the chat. I am at a point I've turned it on 5-10 minutes here and there, and I mean, other than the Alexa Bliss stuff,
Yeah, I was about to say.
I don't have another reason to watch. Like
Right.
it's. Hey, like they're not catering to my audience right now.
You've
I
got
get
Drew
it.
McIntyre on there, and he's a great champion. I just wish he was a champion in front of a crowd. I think that would just be way better. I think his championship run has been good. I think it would have been better with a crowd. I think that pop when he won would have been incredible. Unfortunately, speaking of WrestleMania, rumor came out this week that they're looking at possibly doing Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns again.
Let it happen.
Yeah, big shock, right?
Let it happen.
Big shock.
I love seeing Brock Lesnar drop people on their head. I'm sorry.
If only it could be Goldberg.
Yeah, if only.
Well, Goldberg drops enough people on their
No,
on
but
their
I
heads.
I love watching Brock Lesnar perform. He's one of my, and I know
do
a
too.
I know a bunch of you out there do not like Brock Lesnar. I'm sorry, like I love watching Brock Lesnar perform, and he's the most legitimate athlete that the WWE has right now. I mean, I'm sorry, having a guy on the roster that you know could literally beat the dog shit out of like 95% of the
Yeah.
people on said roster
Yeah.
is probably a good call.
Yeah.
Just me.
I'm not looking forward to another
Brock Lesnar,
Brock
Roman Reigns.
Lesnar, Roman
Yeah,
Reigns.
because you've seen it.
half a dozen times.
Yeah,
Probably.
once you've seen it once, I wish they would.
Now, I think the thing that could really work for this is the Paul Heyman connection.
Yeah,
Paul Heyman is the advocate of the one. He's the one behind the one in 21-1 or
Yeah.
21-1.
Oh, yeah, and that does make things a little bit more interesting. Having
And
Paul Heyman in between the head of the table,
The head of the table
and the Beast Incarnate. That's good stuff.
It could work. It would
and
give
Carl
that
Wortman
feud-
backing me up, fan of Brock Lesnar
Yeah,
over here. Thank you, sir.
I love Brock Lesnar. I do. But I think if they're going to do this, Kyle doesn't like Brock Lesnar. If they're going to do this, they have. I think that Heyman thing.
Yeah, that Heyman thing has to
could
be.
really help.
It sure could.
It wouldn't just be the same old, No.
What?
My dad put. I disagree. Nia Jax is an incredible athlete.
Oh God, don't even
incredibly
start on that.
horrible athlete.
Yeah.
But we won't go any farther. Just oh gosh. But I think that Heyman, like I was saying, I think that Heyman factor could really play into or help that feud be worth something. And when we've seen it in the past, it's not been worth a lot. It's been kind of boring, kind of bland, but I think this could do it.
What do you see these other guys doing at WrestleMania? Like you got the Hurt Business right now, like Bobby Lashley, MVP, Shelton Benjamin, Cedric Alexander. All of those, that group is on fire.
Yeah, that's a great.
Oh, it's a great group.
Great group.
I mean, you're getting Randy Orton and the Fiend.
Yep.
You know you're getting that. But yeah, what
Who do you think Edge challenges? That's my.
Who do you think Edge challenges?
Do you think he challenges Drew McIntyre, or do you think he challenges Finn Balor for the NXT title?
Honestly, after what I saw in NXT this week, I would not put it past them to throw him into the NXT title match because they did the same thing with Charlotte last year.
Right.
Yeah, they did the same thing with Charlotte last year. So, I mean, there is that possibility. I would personally love to see him. Who is the Raw champion right now?
Drew McIntyre.
It's Drew McIntyre. Okay, so I would love to see him challenge Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
And I could see we could do the play-by-play on this right now. He challenges Drew McIntyre. He's got this sympathetic story going in. He's already expressed that he wants to wrestle full-time again.
Right.
You have this sympathetic story going in. Will Edge beat Drew McIntyre? Will Edge reclaim the title that he never lost in the first place?
Yeah.
Will Edge make this happen? And then all of a sudden, Christian comes out. They beat the shit out of Drew McIntyre.
Oh, yeah.
The show closes. Edge with the World Heavyweight title.
That'd be great. Yeah, it would be awesome.
And now we're off to the races. You have Drew
And I think,
McIntyre something to chase.
Yep. And then I think, Finn Balor, there is talk that the NXT title will be defended at WrestleMania this year because it's 2 days. They have to fill that time. I am hoping it's versus Karrion Kross.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched NXT, the guy to watch down there is Karrion Kross. The dude is a monster. He is a scary, scary man. He's a big guy who can do some incredible stuff, and he is intense. When you watch that man wrestle, it looks like a legitimate fight. It looks. Yeah, Michael Fox back saying Finn versus Karrion Kross. Yeah, that match would be great.
That's good stuff.
I hope. So we're going to see Bianca Belair versus the Boss, Sasha Banks. Think that's a deadlock at this point. But the Raw Women's title, I think that Charlotte takes it from Asuka. And I think we see a rematch between Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley.
Oh.
Or a triple threat between Rhea Ripley, Asuka, and Charlotte Flair. I think that would be...
I also want to bring this one up. because this is something that hasn't been discussed yet. One of the returns in the Royal Rumble that we saw was the return of the Monday Night Messiah,
Yeah.
Seth Rollins.
I thought you were going to
Looked like $1 million, by
yeah.
the way.
I don't know if you remember, Mike, but I don't know if you saw it, but there was a hurricane down in Tampa.
Oh, there sure was.
There was a hurricane down in Tampa. I loved it.
Came in, did the choke slam spot. I love that
Yep.
spot. It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite spots. But
What is it called? The thumb, the Kimura thumb or something. It's got it's like the thumb to the eye.
Oh, yeah.
He did that. I loved it. I loved the hurricane.
you got to love yourself some Shane Helms. But
Real life superhero.
absolutely, absolutely. Now, I'm going to bring this up because we got Seth Rollins back.
Yep.
How long before the man comes back to WWE?
I mean, Speaking, I'm wearing my man shirt, right? I think I'm wearing the man shirt today. I'm a huge Becky Lynch fan.
Oh, yeah.
I love Becky Lynch. I don't know. She literally just had a baby. Just had her baby like a month ago. There was a bunch of people like, oh, she's going to show up at the Rumble. No, she's not. She just had a baby. We're still in the middle. We're still amongst the pandemic. It's going to be a while. She may show up at the end of WrestleMania. Then the Monday after WrestleMania.
Yeah, I could see that.
The Monday after WrestleMania is the Monday Night Raw to watch.
I can see her showing up and starting something with somebody that leads into the summer that gets her back into a ring by summer.
Yeah.
I could see that happening. I hope that happens because, I mean, honestly, like the women's division, it's not the same without Becky Lynch being involved. And, like, she's a legit star at this point.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she's a legit star at this point.
Yeah.
You know, you win you're the first woman to win a title in the main event of a WrestleMania.
She won 2 titles.
2 titles. There you go. Yeah. I mean, yeah, she was winning 2 championships in the main event of a WrestleMania.
Yeah, the first women's match to
she's
main
a
event WrestleMania.
She's a made woman at this point.
Yeah.
And it does nothing but good for the women's division. I think
we have several people in the chat saying SummerSlam.
SummerSlam?
Yeah. I think that's a legitimate timeline. I think that's a good timeline for Becky to come back. But I love Becky Lynch. As much as I am excited for Mania this year. Even though it's 2 nights, I don't like that it's 2 nights, but I get why it's 2 nights.
Yeah.
You know, they might as well do it. Plus, they want to try and get as many fans. I assume when the tickets go on sale, you might only be able to buy 1 night. You know what I mean?
Well,
try
yeah.
to get different fans.
Yeah, they're not going to let
nights.
fans buy both nights. I mean, you're going to have you're going to split that up between 2 nights. I think 25,000 in each night, which is, you know, that's more than doable in a stadium of that size. Raymond James Stadium is a gigantic facility. I think.
Yeah,
I mean, that works.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
What else we got, Rennes?
We got a couple releases this week.
Oh yeah, I did. I saw. Tell me which one you're going to talk about. And
The first one I'm going to talk about is Lars Sullivan. The Lars Sullivan.
Good riddance.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm sorry. That guy got more chances than anybody who has done some of the dumb, just idiotic stuff that he did.
He was no showing house show, like he was no showing tapings. He was no showing. He just wouldn't show up to events. He just wouldn't show up.
Yeah. And Vince just kept paying him. I don't understand why. I don't get it.
Yeah, with all the negative feedback that he's given, like he's gotten them. Good riddance at this point.
Yeah,
I mean, he could have. Yeah, never liked Brian Carbaugh. Dad never liked him. Agreed. I
just didn't see, like, other than the fact that his only redeeming, like I said this about Ryback too, his only redeeming quality was that he was big.
Yeah,
that's not enough.
No, not anymore.
Sorry.
Everyone's big.
Yeah,
everyone is big now.
Well, I mean, size in professional wrestling has gone down tremendously over the last. But
sure,
yeah, you're going to have your big guys, but when your only redeeming quality is that you're big, that's a problem.
Yeah,
you got to have some other dimension. You got to have some kind of personality, or maybe you're technically sound. But if you're just big,
right,
what does that do for me?
The other one is Steve Cutler, who is Deonna Purrazzo's boyfriend, partner, whatever. Deonna Purrazzo announced earlier this week or around sometime this week that she has tested positive for COVID. Steven Cutler obviously got it, and apparently that pissed off McMahon so much that he was like, they canned him. Yep.
Yep, canning somebody for getting sick, that's a good look.
Especially when you're making them come to work in a pandemic.
It's not like a low-level guy like that had any kind of say on coming to work or not. I mean, it was like, you're coming to work or you're just going to sit home and not collect a paycheck.
Well, and that's what some people did. Yeah. Sami Zayn did it for the longest time.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to say anything to Sami Zayn because Sami Zayn's going to be able to get a job wherever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's a guy that's going to be able to get a job wherever.
He could go in the Indies and make probably just as much money.
I just figure Sami Zayn gets fired and then El Generico decides, you know what, I need to stop helping the poor kids in Mexico and come back and
because that's where El Generico is. He's helping
poor
the orphans and
those poor orphans in Mexico, man.
What a good dude. The Skip Sheffield. Yep. What a dude.
Oh.
Funny story about that. I was at Raw. It was October of 2013, I think, and we were at Raw. We were like 12 or 13 rows back. Me and my buddy Dan Feinart, and he came out on the ring. Ryback came out, and we both yelled, "Yep, what a do!" And he gave us the look. Like, he looked like if he could have come out of that ring and beat the hell out of us, he would have.
I wouldn't have put it past him. That dude's a nut now.
Yeah.
Oh, that dude is a nut now, man.
He's trying to. He's talked about suing Mark Henry in the recent weeks because Mark Henry said like he's not a safe worker or something. Like, there's some feud going on there.
Oh yeah, he said like he was getting death threats or something. Like somebody getting like of all the things to get death threats from, I doubt that's going to be it.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I'll be honest, Mark Henry was right. Like I mean, he injured everybody. The guy like CM Punk notoriously talked about this.
Yeah. The only person who's injured more people than old Ryback is Nia Jax.
Yeah.
Legitimately.
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
And Ryback injured a lot of people.
Yeah.
So talking about these releases and stuff is apparently there are more coming, which is awful because this week WWE announced that was their most profitable quarter ever.
And when you have $3 billion television deals, like I mean,
that's not even factoring that in.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is quarter 4, so we're in quarter 1. Those numbers will count for quarter 1. This is the quarter 4 earnings.
The hell you
up
say?
$286.6 million in profit, up 59% from the previous year amidst a pandemic. They expect it to be even higher this year. Their profit record $997 million in revenue, and there are still releases being talked about.
Wow. And these guys aren't like this isn't like a fledgling baseball team. Like we're not talking about your Pittsburgh Pirates here where they're just cutting payroll because you got guys making like $1.5 million or like these guys are making what, $125,000-$200,000 a year on the low level or on the mid level. Like you're not seeing them make a lot of money. Like I know a lot there's NXT guys that are making $500 a week.
Yeah.
I know this. The fact that you are releasing people right now is just horrible.
Yeah.
Now, granted, the machine's going to keep moving. They're going to make money despite themselves. The whole night. You've all heard the story before. However, just putting somebody in a position, especially on the really low level, because I mean, you're not talking about your super indie guys that could go back and go to Impact or AEW or even even start up their Twitch or whatever again. I mean, we're not talking about those types of talents. We're talking about guys that are probably just doing this so they can make a living, and a very poor one at that right now.
Right.
I mean, they're making more than I am still.
Yeah.
However, with when you're factoring COVID, factoring all the expenses that are needed to be a professional wrestler, which there are plenty.
Yep.
It's not a good look. It's not a good look.
No, and the other thing is they just don't care.
No, they don't.
They don't care about
Vince doesn't care.
No.
He has no reason to care. He's literally richer than he's ever been in history.
Yeah,
at this point.
They're making money no matter what. I mean, the most profitable quarter ever. And quarter 3, they said the same thing.
Yeah.
Now quarter 4. They're saying it again.
So
We're
what
gonna
you're
see
saying
this.
is this pandemic has just been coming up roses for them.
Yeah.
Now, where's Andrew Yang? We got to get Andrew Yang on the show. We really do. We've got to get Andrew Yang.
I would
talk
love
about
to
the
talk to
wrestling
him
union
about
on the show
about that, and I'd love to talk to him about the because when all the stuff with the possible unionization went down, which fizzled out like I thought it would.
Yeah, of course it did.
I would
Any talk in history about a wrestling union has fizzled out real quick because
like
the top guys. They always send out the top guys to talk against it.
Hulk Hogan was the biggest.
Hulk Hogan,
one.
I remember John Cena being very outspoken against a wrestling union.
Mm-hmm. There was a time when they were going to unionize. I think in the 80s sometime.
Yeah.
And Hulk Hogan caught wind of it and told Vince, and Vince fired like the 3 or 4 people who were leading those talks.
Yeah, I remember Jesse Ventura.
That's one of them.
Jesse Ventura got stooged off and.
Without house shows and other pay-per-view revenue for a ton of people show. Well, I don't know. We've talked about this before.
So let me read that comment here again. Without Carl Wortman here in the chat, without house shows, sales, and other pay-per-view revenues for a ton of people showing up, it's crazy how they're still profiting a lot. Well, let me tell you, like the house shows, and just to give you kind of a rundown, the house shows were losing money for a while, and I mean,
attendance was down.
It's because attendance was down. Even with the attendance down, I mean, there's still a way to make profit on those types of shows.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're running at the volume that they are running house shows at, I mean, they were running probably 800-900 house shows a year,
right?
Because they were doing 2-a-days for the most part. Like Raw's on the road for the weekend, SmackDown's on the road. You got your television tapings.
Yep.
Pay-per-view numbers. I would say pay-per-view numbers are probably slightly up this year because everybody's at home. They need something to watch. I mean, wrestling's the only thing that hasn't stopped.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, baseball stopped. We were delayed for 3 months. I mean, wrestling's the only thing that's been continuously going. It's just the way it is.
I think the other thing would be the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, they shortened the season, but they shortened the preseason, but did all this stuff. And we've missed a couple games here and there, but they didn't stop.
No, they didn't stop.
They didn't.
No, they're still, and everybody. Like the thing is, the NFL was able to survive off of their television deals alone.
Correct.
I mean, the revenue sharing off of those television deals, it's completely off the charts at this point. So,
yeah. And then the other thing I found this week was Dark Side of the Ring has announced at least 8 episodes, I think. This one, and I have the list here.
I know the Collision in Korea.
Well, the season opener is probably going to be a 2-parter on Brian Pillman.
Okay.
Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling.
Ooh, that's going to be a good one.
Yeah. For those of you, Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling was kind of a extreme, extreme pro wrestling. The creators of the death match.
Yes, I would buy their videos at Suncoast Video.
Yep. Yeah. The death match. Large, like 40,000 people coming to see these death matches. Extreme Pro Wrestling, another good one. An episode on Nick Gage.
Okay.
A man who, he's a CZW guy. He robbed a bank, got out of prison. He's the one who almost killed David Arquette.
Oh.
In that match where he got stabbed in the jugular or whatever.
Oh, shit.
That was Nick Gage. That was against Nick Gage.
Oh.
The WCW New Japan Pro Wrestling Collision in Korea.
That the Collision in Korea and the XPW one are going to be the two.
Or the FMW.
Well, you did say something about Extreme Pro Wrestling.
Yep, that one will be on there.
Yeah,
too.
so tell me if you guys are old enough to remember the owner of XPW sending somebody to rob, the Messiah's house to chop off of his thumb.
Yeah.
And that's not a wrestling angle, folks. That was real life. Tell me out there, somebody remembers this, because I cannot wait to see that episode.
Oh yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah, that organization was wild as all hell.
The other two that they've announced, the Smith family, which is Grizzly Smith, Sam Houston, Rockin' Robin, and Jake the Snake Roberts.
All right.
I would have liked to have seen. I don't think they need to do an episode on Jake the Snake because of the rise and fall, the redemption of Jake the Snake Roberts, which if you haven't watched that documentary,
you should. The resurrection.
Yeah, it is so good, especially after watch. Actually, my suggestion would be to watch the what was that? Beyond the Ring.
Yes.
Watch that, or Beyond the Mat.
Yeah, Beyond the Mat.
Watch that first because that has a lot of Jake the Snake Roberts stuff, and you see him at kind of his worst.
Yeah.
and then watch the resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts. It's so good. And then the other one was Ion Crotoro, also known as Bruiser, Bedlam, or Johnny Canine. Who I believe, I have to look him up, but apparently he died of I think he actually died of suicide.
Okay.
And it possibly leading from that. I started a book this week. I've read it once. Dad, I have your copy.
Tony Lowe in the chat.
Oh, yeah?
So we're bringing up the XPW thing and the Messiah thing. Tony Lowe, I remember what you're talking about here. He was like, I remember this because of the America's Most Wanted tape stuff at the House of Pain, because of the Messiah. Yes, America's Most Wanted. I remember John Walsh and his team came up from D.C. to film some stuff at the wrestling school here in Hagerstown.
Wow.
In regards to that, it was a big freaking deal when it happened.
That's cool.
Because you're coming off.
That's local.
Remember, you're coming off the Attitude Era. I think that was that happened shortly after the Invasion angle stuff. So the wrestling was still kind of popular. You're kind of coming up from that Hogan Rock match, but there was so much press for that story because it was just so outlandish. I mean, you had the XPW owner. A lot of people don't know he was a porn director, Rob Black. He so you had that whole seedy aspect.
Right.
You had him running a wrestling program to begin with that had already had friction and issues with ECW at the end of their run,
right? And
then getting this guy's thumb chopped off.
Yeah.
Just absolutely insane.
So speaking of, I'm starting a book this week. Reading a book this week. If you haven't read it, I've read it once. My dad gave it to me, and it is Squared Circle: Life and Death in Pro Wrestling.
Yeah,
it's really good. It's basically you get kind of a history of pro wrestling all the way back from Frank Gotch and Hackenschmidt to basically today, and these people that have passed away due to wrestling.
Yeah.
And stuff.
There's a lot of them too.
Yeah, and the big one, there's, I think the final chapter is Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, and I'm going to get to your comment here in a second,
go ahead.
Carl. Carl's last comment I'll make. When do you foresee the NWA making their comeback? I'll be honest with you. I'd say late spring, early summer at this point. I think you're going to see a lot of stuff come back late spring, early summer, especially the NWA. Once the vaccine gets distributed a little bit more, and once the
numbers are starting to trend downward a little bit. It's still going to be a while, but I'm hoping spring, summer we start getting events back.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be late spring, early summer.
And that, Mike, is all I have today.
That is all I have. Well, I've got a couple of things to talk about here before we end the show here today. First off, we got T-shirts now.
We do.
We got T-shirts, guys. If you ever wanted to support the podcast pit, you can go to prowrestlingtees.com/Mike Ratick, and I get the lower third if our good old friend LAJ will go ahead and put that lower third up there. We've got it. You can go ahead to prowrestlingtees.com/Mike Ratick to purchase your podcast pit and Voltage Wrestling T-shirts. They are on sale there. We started selling these this week. They are flying. They're flying off the shelves this week.
Yeah, and we if peep Voltage Wrestling's Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, there was a new promo I believe got put up this week.
Yes, new promo for Voltage Wrestling, and there's going to be some more news slowly coming out here this month about when you're going to see the debut of Voltage Wrestling. It's going to happen here. It's going to happen here in the spring, for sure, 100%. Mark that down, folks. It's not going to be like
you heard it here first.
Yes, you heard it here first. It's going to happen late spring. And also, last but not least, if you want to support the podcast pit, but maybe don't want to buy a T-shirt, you can always you can support us on PayPal at MikeRatick@gmail.com. Every little bit counts. Thank you.
Also, share, subscribe. We're live right now. We're live not only on Facebook but YouTube Live, and the big one we're trying to build up is our Twitch channel. Twitch, for those of you who might not be able to make it out to a Voltage Wrestling show, pay attention to our Twitch channel. I think there's gonna be some opportunities to see some stuff there as well.
Yeah, we've been airing some wrestling matches on our Twitch
I saw
here
that.
and there during the week.
Yeah.
Subscribe to our Twitch. Catch some of we've been airing old episodes of Fight Pro Wrestling. I know there's going to be some adrenaline wrestling matches coming up here. And for any of you other promoters out there that would like to see your wrestling matches get streamed live on our Twitch channel, please hit me up, jnolan at voltagewrestling.com. We can make that happen.
Thanks to the good folks at Venue Media.
Absolutely. Venue Media, the go-to for all of this. They are great organization. We love them. I think that's it.
Yeah, here we are.
That is it for us, ladies and gentlemen.
The Rolls Royce.
The Rolls Royce of Professional Wrestling Podcast. We hope to see you next week. Same podcast time, same podcast channel.
This is the podcast pit, brought to you by Venue Media.